So, you know, I think there would have been a lot of people who thought, yeah, we should probably just submit, but you know, it didn't go down like that. Qutuz basically cut he took the envoy that actually brought these letters in, chopped them in half, and then I think he hung them outside the gates in Cairo or something like that. And that was basically like, you know, bring it, sort of. It was basically saying, bring it. Now, so I believe this happened, and it was like about a year or two before they were fighting. Now, why they call it the Battle of Ain Jalut? It was about the location where the battle was fought. So there was this commander called Kit Buka. Kit Buka was the kind of guy who had conquered all of the a lot of Syria and stuff like that, and they were pushing down into where Ain Jalut was. Ain Jalut is in a location north of Jerusalem, so much more north than that. Now the Mamelukes, they were coming from the south, so they were coming up from Cairo, pushing upwards, and you could tell where this is where they were kind of going to meet in the middle. So now the big benefit that the Mameluke had was they really knew the lay of the land. Now the Mongols did not. They had kind of no idea on where this land was. So what they did is that they kind of joined forces, you could say, with two other kingdoms. So I think it was the Kingdom of Georgia. Here we go. Kingdom of Georgia and the Armenian Kingdom of Cilicia. So both of them kind of were under the Mongol rule, and they were kind of getting them to lead this battle. Now, and this is where the kind of genius of Vanjalut was. Uh, by the way, on a side note, there is people who say that Ain Jalut was the location where David beat Goliath. Allahu alam, I don't know if that's the case or not. I'm not sure, but it's just kind of a noteworthy thing. Now, the battle starts. So the Mongols are pushing up with these kind of Christian sidekicks that they had. They were coming down. They meet in the middle of this battlefield, and it was basically just a whole lot of kind of pot shot attacks. So, and this is where the genius of Baybars where he was just really, really tactically so strong. They fought, he would never really fully engage with them. It was just kind of hit and run attacks. He drew them in. He was using this ridge to fight them. The big Mongol army got drawn in, and as you do, managed to encircle the Mongol army just by using the lay of the land and all that stuff, that kind of like local knowledge that they had of the area, and they managed to defeat them, and they captured and killed Kitbuka. So this was the first. I would not even. It wasn't the first defeat of the Mongols. There was some before it, but this was the first real big defeat the Mongols had ever actually seen, and it was very, very significant for everybody in the whole world. I wouldn't even just say the Muslims. You know, People were talking about the Mongols like they were just this punishment of God that was coming through, and there's nothing we can do to stop them. And this defeat humanized them. It made them into, well, they're just people on horses who are just good at fighting. We are also people on horses that are good on fighting. And yeah, that was a very, very key turning point for it was they say it actually saved Islam because if they went through if they managed to push through, they would have gone through Jerusalem. They would have destroyed every holy site there. They would have continued down to the Hijaz, Mecca, Medina. Everything would have been all gone. Really, I think that was the idea there. And it was basically this Hutuz and Baybars. They almost saved Islam at that point, which is what a lot of people are saying. Now, this big defeat obviously kind of didn't sit right with Telugu, but even them for an empire, they were kind of on the precipice of, a lot of internal conflict. So he was preparing an army to go re-invade a bigger army, a stronger army to go fight back uh, for, the Middle East there, where the Arabs were. And no, nothing. It was the invasion was stopped. He went to do something. I think he fought in some civil wars or something like that against other Mongols. So it never really came to fruition. Now, the Battle of Ain Jalut was so significant. This defeat for Ain Jalut was so significant that they managed to take back Damascus after 5 days. So, you know, you could say it was extremely, extremely decisive for the Muslims. And actually, it says, the Mamelukes were never defeated by the Mongols ever. Actually, there was only one battle that they were defeated. Uh, they were Battle of Homs, Elbistan, Majd Safar. All of these battles with them, the Mongols had only won in one, and it was called Wadi al Khaznadar. Wadi al Khaznadar? I don't know what that is. But that's basically the only battle that they had won. And, you know, now post this battle, there was obviously, there was a bit of tomfoolery, you could say. Now, when I say tomfoolery, Baybars did assassinate Qutuz and become the first sultan. There's a lot of reasons behind that. Mainly, he actually just wanted to rule, but also, like at the same time, I think he was promised something, and maybe he wasn't receiving this promise. I think it was leadership of a certain land or part of land or something like that. So uh, that is one battle there. And keep in mind, like Bebers was a soldier, a general through and through. He fought in crusades. Not the second crusade is the most kind of popularized one by that movie Kingdom of Heaven. He fought in the ninth crusade. He fought a lot. So it was almost like he was just a soldier through and through. And another detail about Mamelukes is that they were born slaves. So they were born slaves who fought. So that whole idea of that the fear that the Mongols created, that these were people who were born to be soldiers, or very much like the Spartans were born to be soldiers. The Mameluke were just like that. They were born soldiers. They were and they fought a lot. And this was what really I think gave them that edge over anyone else. It is one thing to have an army, but it is something completely different to have that army unprepared. I mean, you can do as many drills as you like. Nothing really prepares you for actual war, and that is what Babers were. They were seasoned veterans in fighting, and especially in the region, they were seasoned in fighting. So you know, Battle of Ain Jalut, what I really enjoy about it is just that kind of biblical aspect or that religious aspect. I mean, even biblically, people were people. A lot of Christians believe that these Mongols were from they were like a punishment from God. They were like the devil's. They were the devil's horsemen, and it was a very the amount of defeats that they had taken at their hands was huge. Uh, so it was almost and the Mongols, they knew that, they knew a lot of this. So a lot of so if you watch Dr. Yasser Qadi, he has a very nice small piece about this, and he was saying that initially when Genghis Khan he conquered Samarkand, uh, he came into the mosque and he obviously burned the thing down, the great mosque of Samarkand. He burned it down and he told them that I am here as because I am the punishment of God because you have all strayed from the path, you have all become sinners. So I am now your punishment. Now, although they had some sort of religious or higher levels, say, compared to other ancient civilizations, or not ancient, older civilizations, they did have their religious freedom. They didn't believe in, and they were not monotheistic. They were, they had some a whole other like varying set of beliefs. And I think they used that and they played into that a lot. They played into the fear of the Muslims. They've played into the fear of the Christians and every other sort of race or every sort of religion that they had. They knew how to scare people. They knew what was required for that. Uh, it was just very, very interesting how how they played into that role and really just struck the most fear into all their enemies. And I think that was a big, big part of what made them just so undefeatable is that people were just so scared of standing against them. And it worked out, didn't work out in the Abbasids' favor, but with the Mamelukes, worked out tremendously. It was a very, very major turning point. I mean, who knows what would have happened to Islam if, Angel didn't happen? Where would we be today? Uh, would it even be as preserved as it is, or would we have that much numbers? Would it have spread that much? Nobody knows. Now, the biggest defeat of the biggest defeat, well, I wouldn't say defeat. When people say what was the real downfall of the Mongol Empire, what really wrapped it up was a lot of the actual khanates. So they kind of split up into four khanates. I think it was, yeah, the four khanates. Basically, three of them converted to Islam: the Golden Horde, the Yuan dynasty, the Great Khanate in China, and Il Khanate of Southeast Persia, and the Changtai Khanate of Central Asia. So a lot of these khanates eventually just converted to Islam, and their way of fighting, their way of beliefs was not really compatible with Islam. Uh, so that kind of died down. Some of them became Ming Dynasty, Yuan Dynasty in China. Uh, so that whole division ultimately led to a lot more infighting and just the kind of dissolution of the Mongol Empire. So you could really say it was not the same at all after after Genghis. One other kind of one other detail, which if you are interested in this kind of Mongols and stuff like that, was a lot of stuff by Marco Polo. So Marco Polo was this just Italian, like son of a merchant, and he wrote this big account in the court of Kublai Khan, which was the last great Khan, they would say. So he spent time in the court of Kublai Khan, and he just wrote about a lot of details. Now there is a Netflix adaptation of this that got cancelled, but it was well, it was actually a very, very well shot show. Didn't really have much to do with Islam or anything like that, although it did have some trends of Muslims being in there. But yeah, if you do want to kind of explore more of the Mongol stuff, it's very, very good. And there is also, in terms of the Muslim side, Beybers did have, his whole his whole thing was, his whole history is very, very interesting. And he does have a lot about, he does have some ties with Ibn Arabi as well, which we were talking about the last couple of episodes. So hope you guys enjoyed today's breakdown on Battle of Ain Jalut, a big battle that had happened in uh, in and during Ramadan, the 15th day of Ramadan. So imagine this whole fight during Ramadan. They are fasting. They are doing all this kind of juhd. Now, it always like puts things in perspective for you that Muslims do win. Muslims are successful throughout history in Ramadan, especially. It could be that we fight harder. It could be some divine intervention. Whatever it is, it seems to be an overall positive for us. So, and I think it's also one thing for us to always realize that even when we are tired and even when we feel a certain way, you know, there's a lot of things that have happened in Ramadan that, you know, it's simply it is quite amazing that they are doing this fighting while they're fasted. Now, we look at Kyrie Irving, and he's been playing 48 minutes a game in the NBA, and it is a miracle that he's doing that much. But you know, these guys were fighting the most feared, arguably the most feared empire in history that had ever come before them. So you know, whenever you're a bit tired and you don't think you can fast during an exam or anything like that, just remember, like, yeah, people did a lot more, a lot less. All right. Take it easy, everyone. Really enjoyed this one today. Peace out.